The HP Envy 15 x360 is a bigger beast than I'm used to. It gives off the right first impression though, as I was immediately dazzled with the materials, build and finish. It's well put together with minimal flex, feels nice to the touch, and its simple, elegant design is just great. The hinge is tuned rather tightly and doesn't work one-handed. It is a feature and not a bug though, as for a 2-in-1, it really helps keep it locked at any angle and be a bit more forgiving to pokes and prods. It's not all just looks either, with it delivering on performance too. Under the hood is a 12th gen i7, integrated Xe graphics and 16 gigs of RAM. Do watch out for the i5 variant though, as it looks to only come with 8 gigs, which I can never recommend these days. Videos and excessive Chrome tabs all were handled well, with plenty of room to grow and even being able to pick up the slack of some significant crunching along the way. Even some light gaming is fine on the Xe graphics. A perfect option for the filthy casual on the go, assuming you have a dedicated gaming device elsewhere. I was able to comfortably mess around with Slay the Spire, Diablo 3 and even Bioshock Infinite if you really want to get your fix in. Most of my time was spent revisiting Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. And while I was often able to get bored of my 20-year-old wall building strategy, Age of Empires did tend to chew on the RAM a bit, occasionally slowing down and sometimes crashing. It did get a bit toasty running games, especially around the right palm rest, but nothing unexpected when working hard. Overall, it was a little eager spinning up its fan though, with the familiar whine cropping up even during light browsing sessions or watching YouTube, which made me wonder about the cooling system in a device of this size. Charging is done via USB-C. Excellent, as I'm so over proprietary chargers. And I'm pretty happy with the port inclusion, with one side housing 2 USB-C, a full USB-A, and a HDMI port. Over on the other side, we have another USB-A, and a bonus headphone jack and SD card slot. Flipping to the bottom, and we have the air intake, something to be a bit careful about when setting it down on the couch. And also grills for the downward firing speakers. Keep this one in mind for the next part. Even when opened, the laptop's excellent design language continues, with a big old centered trackpad below the high quality keyboard. The trackpad does feel like plastic though, and isn't as smooth to use as I'd like, but gets the job done. The keyboard on the other hand has been great to type on, offering a nice feeling and quiet experience with good spacing and key travel. Backlight is nice and subtle, and also covers the function row. Ugh, even this abomination. It can be a bit too subtle though, as outdoors it actually makes the keys more difficult to see, needing to be turned off. We miss out on a number pad, but do at least get an extra row of keys. It does feel odd to skip it though, given the overall device size. Instead, we get these lovely speaker grills. But wait, remember when we said these speakers were bottom firing? Yep, these speaker grills are just decorative, with maybe a slight use for airflow, but I'm not convinced. Rather misleading, as initially I was pretty pumped for upward firing stereo speakers. We get confirmation of this when we crack open the back and see the speakers here. They get loud enough, but not great, and will sound better when the device is resting on a table and not your lap. Sound quality does drop off above 50% volume, and overall feels a bit hollow and muffled, but again, does the job. While still picking inside, we can at least see that both the SSD and RAM are upgradable, so that's a pretty good bonus. We do only have a small single fan here, which is probably why it's always so eager and tends to work a bit harder to keep the Intel stuff cool. A little surprised to not see something a touch larger. Moving around to the display, and we probably find the biggest letdown of the device. It's a 1080p 15.6 inch IPS canvas with fairly average viewing angles, which isn't all that bad as I generally didn't notice any of this in normal use. What I did notice was that low peak brightness and average colour palette, reaching only 250 nits and 45% of the NTSC colour gamut. Basically, this monitor is on the dull side. The colours look bland, and it lacks the vibrancy of many premium devices, which, based on the price and the NV name, I would assume it would be. But like many other manufacturers out there, a good display is the first thing that gets left on the cutting room floor. Being a 2-in-1, it is of course a touchscreen though, and Windows 11 does at least make it fairly decent to interact with casually. Just know that it does have some heft to it if you want to pretend it's a tablet. The webcam is also very average, capturing a grainy 720p picture. But the best camera feature is its ability to turn off with a dedicated button, which both covers it with a physical slider and disconnects it from the system. Top-end specs that'll last. An excellent keyboard, accompanied by a display, speakers and trackpad that at least get the job done, all contained in a very attractive package. Admittedly, this does at least cover everything I'm after in an everyday laptop that should last. It looks and is priced at a premium rate though, so while a good overall device, be sure to find a solid special and not fork out the HP price for so many cut corners.